Okay, hello everybody. My name is Lalu Delbracio. I'm the course leader for the BA Photography course, and I'm gonna quickly take you through an overview of the course. So the BA Photography course is the oldest of courses in photography here at LCC, and it has a huge tradition of producing a lot of artists. And it's basically an ideas-driven multi-genre photography course, which combines practice, theory, professionalism, and technical expertise. So the emphasis of this course is to create critically engaged creatives who are conceptually driven and they are professionally focused. And to say this in other words, it's a course that has a profile which is more directed towards a contemporary art practitioner. So for example, to start these slides, I chose the work of a recent graduate, Lee Wood, who produced all of her final work in collaboration with an AI. So in this course, we're always experimenting, and part of that is working with the newest technology that is emerging around photography. So a little bit about myself. My name, as I said, is Lalu Delbracio. I'm the course leader. I studied here. I graduated from a MA in photography here. And before that, my background was in graphic and textile designs. So I combine a mix of design thinking and photography practice. And also in my individual practice, I have artistic practice like most of the teachers working in this course, which I'm going to take you through quickly. So this is an overview of some of the people working in the course. You've met Daniel recently, myself, lecturers like Beverly Carruthers, Adrian Wood, Lee McKinnon, Harry Hardy, Sophie Rickett, Paul Tebs, Peter Ainsworth, Yushi Yang, Krasimira Busteva, and Max Ferguson. And every year we have a huge range of visiting practitioners that come to give lectures, workshops, and other things that enhance the knowledge of the course. And everyone working in this course, as I said, has their individual practice as an artist. So for example, this is the work of Peter Ainsworth, who is specialized in expanded photography and digital mediums. Here we see the work of Max Ferguson, who works as a photo editor, also working a lot with book format. Johnny Briggs, working between photography, sculpture, and installation. Lee McKinnon, who's a researcher, writer, and also has a photographic practice. Sophie Rickett, a very celebrated artist working with photography. And to give you an idea also of the kind of graduates that we produce, here is the work of Silvia Rossi, who is a recent alumni, who is an artist working with photography, text, and moving image. Also Juno Calypso, working with fine art and commercial practice. And most recently, Bart Sen Wong Long, who is a visual artist who works with fiction, who's a fiction writer, and also a curator. And here is his work being portrayed, showed in Piccadilly Circus as part of class of 2021 in the Days series of screens called Cerca. So what is BA photography all about? We like to think that the main point of BA photography is ways of, so not just one version of doing things, but several ways of doing things. So ways of learning together, and that knowledge is both what we bring as a teaching staff, but what our students bring from their diversity of backgrounds and knowledges. Ways of experimenting with new ideas and new ways of making. So we often give you kind of a beginning tip of how you could be developing your projects, but it's also very open and very welcome to what each student brings in terms of their own curiosity, but also areas of expertise that they develop throughout the course or they know from before. And ways of developing a professional practice, this is very important. Over the 3 years, we expect every graduate to come out with a very good professional practice that allows them to go into working world beyond university. So the whole course is divided in a combination of 3 units that work together, or 3 areas that work together: practice, contextual studies, and professional practice. And we understand that every person's practice when they graduate should have connected like these 3 areas for themselves. The course diagram, so that you have an idea, it works in 2 blocks. This is repeated throughout all courses that you're going to see today. So now I'm going to stop too much in this diagram, but just so they understand that when I talk about block 1 and block 2 is the way the university year is structured. So on year 1, in block 1, which runs from September to the end of January, You'll have 3 units: Introduction to Photography, which is a professional practice unit; Remix Remake is a practice unit; and Histories in Context is a contextual studies unit. So in Introduction to Photography, we're going to cover the basics, some of the basics of skills around camera skills, some basics around design. We're going to be introduced to professional industry speakers, and the language of academia also, so that everybody kind of like has a ground level to start with. In Remix Remakes, it's a unit that is very much oriented towards experimented. So you will experiment with different techniques and different ways of making and working with photography. And in Histories in Context is where you're going to start considering photography in a more kind of like complex way, questioning photography, thinking of the histories in photography. Basically, what the contextual study programs does across all 3 years is kind of taking the world and breaking it apart and putting it together with new ways of understanding, both a bit by the material that we're giving you, but like your own experiences that you bring to this university. In Block 2, in Photographic Fictions, is a practice unit that is based very much on bookmaking. And this is some of the work that has been produced in that unit. And Ideas in Practice is another contextual studies, which also has a focus on professional practice, which looks which expands the idea of photography into filmmaking and also collaborative projects. So just to give you an idea of how this course approaches some of the practices, for example, in terms of making books, which is the main focus of photographic fictions, this is the work produced for that unit, which is a book that is documenting the club scene in London a couple of years, well, last year. And the book was a combination of an actual booklet with a record, and it all came together because the students who were working on this project were also DJing in the night. So we also welcome very much to mix your interest to kind of form your own voice. This is some of the work produced in Remix Remake. As you see, it's a mix of photography with drawing and painting, silk screening. And here you have another example of some of the books produced, which feel quite experimental and in some ways break away from your traditional book format. On year 2, we start specializing a bit more. So one of the first units is the live brief, or professional collaborations, which starts looking at actually collaborating with partners outside of university. So you will be able to work in groups, and you will work with briefs set up by different partners that come from outside the university. And in the past, some of those partners have been projects realized with DeepMind, with several museums across London, projects realized around fashion and rethinking what's the importance of slow fashion. So these briefs change constantly year by year, depending on the partnerships that we're working at that point. In expanded practice, you start considering your work in a more installation ways or exhibition ways. And in thinking ecologies, which is the first contextual studies of year 2, you start considering the implications of photography and ecological ways. So both in terms of, for example, the digital files that we handle, the material files that we handle, but also other implications around gender, race, and other complications that form ecological understandings. In Block 2, we have situated practice and culture machines. So situated practice is your second practice unit in Block 2, which starts directing about thinking your work in place. So this, at this point, is not just about developing your body of work and developing the actual work that you want to do, but how does that work change when we start exhibiting or putting it in different formats, which can be exhibition spaces, or it can also be book formats, or it can be digital spaces again. And the last unit of Block 2 is Culture Machines, which continues these questions around photography and its histories and complications. In year 3, finally, the work that we have been training for kind of consolidates in 4 units, which are completely connected. So we have in the first block, Major Project 1 and Research Project, which are 2 units that allow you to develop your individual work and a new depth. So in Research Project, you will come up with a set of questions, and you will be able to go in depth researching that, and you can choose you can choose to produce the work either in writing, so you will write a thesis around 6,000 to 8,000 words, or you can produce the work in terms of in a film essay or in a film format, or you can also produce a publication, so a printed media that kind of collates all of your research together. So in the research project, you will have a big question that you're researching, and in Pager Project 1, you will start developing your own project, which is the way in which these concerns that you are looking at and thinking about other thinkers, other makers, other artists, and how does your work situate in that. And in Major Project 1, you start developing your unique project that it kind of relates to that, but is about you as a practitioner. Major Project 2 and Creative Futures are very much now looking towards graduation. So in Major Project 2, you will consolidate the knowledge of research project and the practice of Major Project 1, all the experimentation that you have done, into a final body of work that is ready for meeting audiences, whether it's on exhibition visits or with particular communities or online in different formats, depending on what suits your project. And in Creative Futures, you will develop your own website. You'll come up with a professional CV and a presence in social media, so you will be ready to face, the industry in terms of employability or starting your own entrepreneurial projects. So just to finish, I am going to show you a quick work by a third-year student, just to give you an idea and to maybe let our students speak as to what is it that to give you a sense of the kind of projects that are produced here.
I create digital composite realities that tend to be surreal, seductive, and unnerving.
Hi, my name is Brinken, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my most recent project, Mechanic Mortician. The video piece follows an inhuman narrator who guides the viewer through a virtual environment. The project was filmed in front of a green screen, and the majority of the work has went in post-production. The VFX work is probably the most interesting bit because my background is in fine art photography, and I've applied the skills and the methodologies that I've created over the years to also my moving image work. The traditional methods of photographic post-production using Lightroom and Photoshop to create detailed and surreal composite images, I still use, but in addition to an AI rotoscoping software called EBSynth, and I then also run the footage through After Effects and Premiere Pro, which I use to do the rest of my VFX work. The biggest inspiration for me has been notions of the metaverse and whole brain emulation, also known as mind uploading, and what a potential future might look like where we exist in purely virtual space, not only for us, but also for artificial intelligence.